And we're back for another video from Sherry and Sandra. You thought we were going
Yay!
away, didn't you? Oh no, we're not. Um, we're going to continue the discussion that we were discussing. Um, and we were discussing life and union. Um, does the running and chasing stop? Uh, um, I guess it would depend on. No, it don't. Um, so sometimes it does, but no, it don't. Like it's different though. Like I don't have to, I oftentimes run from Lee, never physically. Oh, never physically, always spiritually.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Um,
Right.
and he'll be like, okay, why are you running away from this? Um, you know, but no, it's not the same as like when you're not in union, the running and the chasing isn't the same, but it's still there. Um, in the beginning a lot, in the beginning a whole lot because the
Expansion and contraction of
always,
mandates that you do. It's kind of like a pendulum swinging.
yeah.
This is your meet in the middle. This is the standstill point.
Oh,
But then you swing and it's like grrr, the
mm,
energy feels different, but this is your time to really go into that creative space and create. You have to contract in order to expand.
mhm,
Contraction makes you look at things, expansion makes you grow.
yeah. And that's it, that's it. When you get into union is the expansion and not just obviously the physical expansion of family, blah blah blah. Anyway, but that spiritual expansion, but there's two, and you're both expanding at the same time. And sometimes that's triggering.
Right, right.
Um, and Lee and I have very different spiritual gifts as well. That's sometimes hard to navigate because I can hear spirit very clear and very concise. And, you know, there are just things that spirit is saying to me that I just won't relay. Right. And I know when he's telling me a memory or something and it's not quite how it happened, I'll hear a voice that say he's on the right track, which
Right.
tells me that okay, where he's going with the story is on the right track, but it may not have happened exactly how he says it. He just is remembering it differently. And spirit has even said to me, talking to random people at different times. We go to a lot of music events, so the energies are all over. But spirit has even said to me as what somebody is talking to me that they're not being honest, right? So with Han Lee, I mean, I hear spirit. Um, that's one of my gifts. I hear spirit. Lee is a connectionist. Lee connects the dots and not just the regular dots. He takes the dots way back. And I mean, he's a connectionist and he connects it all. And sometimes that's triggering,
Mhm.
you know? So with us having different spiritual gifts, it's interesting. We have different spiritual practices. Lee meditates. His everyday life is a meditation to him. He's constantly just flowing. Where I'm a mess. I'm all over. I'm scattered. Right. I want to be at 17 places at 17 times and all at once. And but there's a Lee with me,
Mhm.
and that's the running and chasing is different.
Yeah.
It's different.
Alan is the real good. as Sherry would call it, a standstiller. Okay.
Yeah.
In the union, Alan is most comfortable when he's completely still. And only once in a while do I look at him and go, "Are you okay?" Because Alan goes into never, never land. Okay. And
Yeah.
he is, um, music is his passion, music elevates him. When we go into sessions and we're working with people, Alan has this unique ability with his voice to really penetrate into someone's biofield and assist them. And I am the one that hears. I call them the we. Um, and the we come through and they speak as one rather than multiple, like your archangels or your guides, whatever it may be. Sometimes they can come in at such a rapid rate that you're so confused. At some point, you have to say, "Okay, flow through me as one voice."
Yeah.
And so that is what is so amazing. At first, I used to have to go into like a translate like state, and now it's like I've learned it so well that I know when the we are online
Hmm.
and it's ready to roll. And um the art is like my a lot of people don't realize that artwork is like a that's the beginning of the 55th octave on octave scale.
Hmm.
So your colors that you see and all of the sacred geometry comes through at the 55th octave.
Hmm.
Now, think about hearing 55 octaves in your ear,
Yeah.
okay? You're not going to hear all of those,
Hmm.
but now we've taken this third eye and we are hearing music through sight.
Yeah.
It's really hard to kind of describe, but I just started having this sacred geometry just popping up. And I know Lee has that. And it was popping up in my spectrum. And I would go blind. Do you remember when I was going blind?
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
have those moments when all of a sudden I'd start seeing this sacred geometry and it would brighten up real white and I couldn't see. I was blind. That's why I don't drive anymore. They were like, you can't drive. Um, and just all of this stuff was going on. So as you're in union and your frequency starts to go up, what looks kind of bad, because I got news for you, when would have these blind spells, I thought, thank God I'm not driving. I would have killed myself and other people. But Spirit set it up to where Alan was right there and he could drive.
Yeah.
He would guide me. We're never apart. He
Hmm.
would guide me back to the vehicle when we were someplace where it was really dangerous for me to be blinded.
Right.
So there are things that we're both really good at and we can move in tandem. It's almost like this beautiful flowing artwork that
Hmm.
is unfolding, and we have to know how to get into that. When you're in the flow, you just know is where we came up with that.
Yeah.
You just know
You just
because you
know.
work in tandem together. But you know as well as me, when you're coming together, you're all excited. And then you have those plummeting moments when you're gonna contract again. You're gonna have those plummeting moments and you're like, but he's not talking to me. Oh, you need to be putting your hands up in the air and go, just say thank you. Thank you. We got a three bear syndrome going on. Okay. Before you even come into union, you and your twin are going to have to um maneuver through the flow. Okay. So we're going to have Papa Bear, we're going to have Mama Bear, we're going to have Baby Bear. So
Hmm.
Papa Bear is too hard.
Hmm.
Generally, you have a relationship that is too hard. And then you got one that's too soft. Well, a lot of us, when we've been in that hard relationship, we look for someone that is real soft so we can do whatever we want. But the twin is just right, meaning be grateful for the people that come in contact with you and you're in a relationship with before you come into union. Because if you got to go through that in union, you won't make it.
You won't make it.
You
Yeah.
will not make it. So,
Yeah, right. And then you have to go back and
right.
try to do it again. And it's a system of just going back and try, and you have to figure it out again. You have to
Mhm.
figure it out again. And then but differently. It's
Right.
the oddest thing. Like every time Lee and I have some type of um conflict, right? I mean, it never starts out with us raising our voices, but we're pretty considerate of not we try to be considerate of not cutting each other off, but still happens. But I handle Lee differently than I did 3 months ago. He handles things differently than he did even, last week. It every time a conflict comes up, now it's more petty than anything. It's not it doesn't deal with a lot of the junk. Um, but maybe once a month that I'm actually like I need to break down. That's what I need. And I don't want it to build to where I just start attacking him and raising my voice and making it his fault, right? Um I don't do that anymore. But when I tell him I'm filing and I don't want to. I don't want to. Let me show you these files, right? And usually his reaction is just listening and then he'll hold me and just let me break down. And that it's different when you're connected because Lee'll say, I don't want you to understand. I want you to feel my where I'm at. I want you to meet me in my pain.
Mm.
And most of the time I'm like, yeah, I got enough of my own. I don't want to fuck with yours. You know what I mean? But but then, I know that he's human being too. He files too. I don't want that. I don't want him to do that. So we've had to the hardest part for me ever was figuring out that I wasn't always right. That I didn't know everything.
Mhm.
Blew my mind that I didn't know everything. Blew my mind. Uh, um, that on occasion I can be wrong. Let's not let everybody know that right now. It's hard for me, right? Admitting that I was wrong.
Right. That's hard.
Hard. Um, and what's worse is when we're having conflict and I know that I'm right, and then he'll say something and be like, I'm completely off. Like he'll show me another version of it or something, and I'm like, oh, I am completely off. Like I really should be focusing on this instead of focusing on that. That's making it about me. This is making it about their pain. Right? So hard for me. So hard. And I'm a Gemini. So I can find the crazy. She's,
Right.
she's sitting
Right.
right next to me.
Alan's really good about he can he doesn't okay, here's what I have to say. You learn to find the gratitude even in the moments. If I've said it before and I've said it to all of our clients, if Alan gets to the point where he raises his tone, slams his hand down, he's breaking energy. So I have appreciation for that, and I know it's something he has to do.
Yeah.
Now, when I'm losing my shit, I look at him and I go, okay, I'm about to lose my shit,
Mhm.
but I want you to know, don't take this personal. This is about me, not about you.
Right. Right.
And then he'll hold the space and he gets really quiet and he'll hug me afterwards and
Mhm.
he'll say, are you okay? I'm not a real crier, but when I do cry, he knows this was deep.
This. Yeah.
And we will only be able to deal with I'm gonna say shit coming up um in certain fragments,
Mhm.
and it'll get more and more deep. Do we ever stop this? I don't think so. I don't think so. Because
Um,
look how old you are and how long it took you to have those belief systems and all that programming. And now you're trying to unravel it like a big old ball of wire that's all intertwined and tangled. It takes time. And so a lot of people are like, but you expect your twin to be perfect. And I got news for you. If you're looking for perfection, you need to go find a 3D relationship,
Yeah, for sure.
because this is not the place to find um perfection. This is where the imperfections are what makes this journey perfect.
Mhm. Right.
And
Um,
so,
Post Malone put out a new album, and I don't know why I'm endorsing him, but I love him. But there's a song on the album. It's music, you know what I mean? I'm just like Alan.
right.
I'm a lot like Alan. We are definitely connected. But the song's called Nosedive, you know what I mean? And he just says something along the lines of sometimes you're running, sometimes you're falling, sometimes sometimes you're broke, sometimes you're balling, right? But there's
Right.
beauty in the nosedive.
Hmm.
And when Lee and I have what I call a big conflict, and I'm yelling and screaming, um, it's those learning moments where, okay, what is this? Oh, shoot, 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 shoot. My phone's ringing. Um, um, why don't I turn my phone off? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But we'll do something, when we're finally in the space where we're talking and not yelling, when we're finally in a space where we're talking and go to the root of it. Like, so we're really not arguing because you parked the car crooked, right? That's not why we're arguing, right?
No.
We're arguing because maybe I heard something or saw something or woke up and felt, you know what I mean, had a dream or whatever. And that's where we meet when we look for the root,
Right.
right? And it's sometimes hard to be like, well, I'm just really mad because I got a letter and it broke my heart. You know what I mean? And they're like, so we argued for a half an hour and I had no idea about what really happened. It happens a lot. You know, um, in the beginning, not too much. We don't argue much anymore because Lee has learned how to um handle both of me. I'm a Gemini,
Right.
and he signed up for it, so it's his fault. He got himself in this situation. So, but that doesn't mean that I really shouldn't look at those behaviors and try to change them, right? And this happened, and Lee and I just was like, "What the hell happened?" Um, when we were progressing through our relationship, through our union, when we had a disagreement, we would come to a conclusion, well, we'll change this and we'll change that. And then I made a lot of changes, and then I became somebody he was like, what the hell's wrong with you? I did everything you asked me to do, and now you don't even like me.
Right.
So what the hell? Um, and that's when he popped in and he said, "You're right. And I never should have asked you to change. I never should have tried to change you because I love you for who you are. I never should have even asked you to change your actions. Never should have done that. That's my bad." But now we had to deal with, you know what I mean, unprogramming that.
Right. Right. Alan and I we don't fight. I'll feel frustration, and Alan will. We feel it in the energy more than anything. And rather
Yeah.
than stuffing it and not bringing it up, it's better to have the hard discussion and say, "I've got this coming up within me, and I just need you to hold the space. Don't feel like you got to fix it. You don't.
Right.
I don't have to fix anything in him. Not my job. Um,
Yeah.
but it's very important that you hold the space. Hold the space, and
Oh,
do not open your mouth and interrupt a process.
yeah.
Uh, and so when my mouth opens and I'm releasing some things, if Alan, back in the beginning, we talk about, I'd say, honey, we need to talk.
Yeah.
And Alan would go into,
Oh,
"Oh, what
uh-oh.
did I do wrong? What did I do wrong?"
Yeah.
And I finally addressed it and said, "This is not about you. This is about me."
Yeah.
And I learned very quickly, say that, and it opens the container,
Mhm.
and he is more willing to hold the space if it doesn't feel confrontational,
Yeah. If it doesn't feel like you are
attacking.
attacking them. Right.
Yeah.
And then, it just, yeah, it changes the arguments or fights or whatever you want, the disagreements, they change because they progress and they get less. They get less and less of the big stuff because you do a lot of the work together on those things instead of fighting about them. You when you're in union, it's more of a conversation about the deeper things. It's the petty things that sometimes dumb things that sometimes get you, like you said you was gonna cut that flower and you haven't cut that flower in 3 weeks and right. You said you were going to cut the flower. You didn't cut the flower. Why didn't you cut the flower when you said you was? Now I can't trust you. You know what I mean? Can't
Mhm.
trust what you say. I never can. I can't trust what you say. You said you loved me. That was probably a lie because you said you was going to cut the flower and you never cut the flower. So that was a lie. You know what I mean? My mind can make a whole story
Right.
and attack him with the story. And he's looking at me like, what the hell? Other Sherry, come in, other Sherry. Where's your twin? Where's your twin?
See, we
I have
have
to look within and find her and be like, oh shit.
with Alan didn't even know he could do art because he wasn't doing art when back in the day.
Yeah.
He grew. He was doing growing up on the mountain.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And and then we left there and he's like, "Well, we sat down at one point and I said, 'What is it you've always wanted to do?' And he said, 'I've always wanted to get a Bob Ross painting kit and learn how to paint.'" And I thought, that's what I'm going to get him. I never can find something that he will just out and out tell me he wants for Christmas. And I got it for him. And he picked up the paintbrush and he painted like he'd been painting for eons.
Mm-hmm.
And
He had
I was
it in
like,
him. He had it in him.
okay. And so we start painting. Well, I'm one of those, I'll have this image when I go to sleep or when I'm working and I just start painting it. Alan's not like that. He's got to, he's got to focus and think, what do I want to paint? How do I want it to look? What is the transmission that I'm trying to emit here? And his process is way longer than mine. And I find more frustration in I sit down and do it and he contemplates.
Yeah.
And I'll go, "Are you painting today?" "Yeah, I'm thinking about it, but I'm trying to put this together and that together." So we have different processes. If
Yeah.
we'll look at, we all have different processes for everything. And if we get irritated, we
Mhm.
really need to examine, why is that irritating me? Because that's not my process.
Yeah.
That's their process.
Yeah.
So why is it triggering me?
Yeah. And one thing I can say about when you're in union, and this is I know, right? This is a knowing is when now, which is it's few and far between now when we have disagreements, but when we do, there's no feeling or threat of the relationship and of the union ending.
Right,
We don't we just never oh, I'm just leaving, you know what I mean? Type of type of shit. That shit doesn't happen anymore. Um we just know that we're getting through it. I mean, that's a no, it's a knowing. We don't
right,
we don't say things like that, and we're careful about what we do put out into the universe, right? Um, and I'll even say something to him like, I don't want to put this out into the universe, and then he'll be like, then don't. Then don't. But
I think it gets to the point where verbalizing it is with us because we're in such a tight area. There is something that Alan has had to go through here in Arkansas that
yeah,
we have never had to deal with before, and that's asthma.
yeah,
Okay, because of of the humidity and because of the heat, he has asthma attacks. So he has a nebulizer. And Sherry, I kid you not, if he turns that on, my whole body freezes. Like I have been around someone in a past life or early on in life that was on a respirator or something because it's the fear of God that comes over me. It's like, are you
Oh,
okay?
yeah.
And I've gotten to the point where I'm not reacting to it, I'm responding to it, but I still have every now and then muscle memory, and he'll turn that machine on and I'll go, and he's like, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm getting ahead of it. And he has learned to calm me down. But this is something new. So as you go forward, when you can't be triggered one way,
Don't
you
be
will be triggered in
there down the
others.
line.
That just
Yep.
means you're going deeper.
Right. That is correct. And and that is a knowing that we have. That's there in that package of there's no end to this union. Um,
Right.
and and we know we're getting through it. And now we know how to navigate it. Now what? Well, here's something else.
I remember the first time when we were up on the mountain and I woke up one morning and I said, uh-oh. And Alan's like, what? Because remember, we have a 2 hour window where we sit and we talk. And
Yeah.
I'm like, Spirit's talking to me and we're going on a journey. And the look on his face was like, what are
Oh,
you talking about?
oh man.
And I said, we're about to do something. And he goes, oh God. He doesn't do that anymore now when I have those moments and it's time to go, which we listen. There is no hesitation. It's like if I hear we're leaving tomorrow, we may not have a dime in our pocket. We may not have gas in the truck, but you better start packing because you got to step over the timeline for the miracle to appear, not the miracle appear, and then you step over the timeline.
Right.
So he was like, what are you talking about? And I said, we're going out in the wilderness for 52 days. And he goes, where, what? Putting everything in storage. Now, I got to tell you, if you've only been in union for 3 years and you know that's your respite time because it's about to get really interesting. And
Yeah.
Spirit said that this is your respite time. Enjoy it.
Thanks, Spirit.
Then it really got rolling. So you have to kind of look at it from a different perspective and you learn all along the way and you're like, but you're pining for what you would you not pine for living in that cabin up on the mountain if you left it?
Yeah.
I think a couple years I was like, I want to go home. I want to
Yeah.
go home. And
Yeah.
I had to learn I was home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to look back on it and go, okay, Spirit, show me why we had to leave. And what I seen in this vision was Alan and I had this thing where we would have our coffee, go out on our deck, and we would sit there and have our coffee in the evening. And in this crosswalk venture, I went back down that road to see what would have happened if we'd have stayed. The night before we left, a bullet ricocheted off of our roof, okay, as we're packing. And then when I went down this road, that was 2 years later to find out why I was pining so much for it. I said, okay, explain to me why we're doing what we're doing now when all I want is the mountain. And I walked down that. We were sitting there having coffee, and Alan got shot in the heart by a stray bullet. Do you think that I pined for the cabin anymore?
Yeah.
No, I did not. It could have taken my beloved right out.
For sure. Right.
And my listening said, you have a knowing, use it,
Yeah.
but you're fighting the knowing that you have.
Right.
I don't fight it anymore. There's no arguing. If
Right.
spirit says go, it means
Oh,
we're in danger or something's about to happen. Go.
need to go.
Right.
Um, and and without thinking about it.
Right. I put
That's
no mind into it.
right. That's the thing without going, okay, yeah, but what if this happens or what if that happens or what if this happens? See, that's where we that's where we um put a monkey wrench in the journey.
Right.
And we we don't want to move right now.
Right,
You
right.
know what I mean? I don't want to go. I don't want to I don't want to say that, right? If I'm in the grocery store and spirit's going, I don't want to. Right?
Right.
But if I don't, you know what I mean, then it's a whole few hours
It's
of
gonna
noise.
it's gonna push you into a space where you don't want to be. And I
Yeah.
gotta tell you, after a little while of doing that, I believe it truly was a compression time. And when I say compression time, take a piece of coal, stick it in the mountain,
Yeah.
and it's under excruciating pressure for hundreds of thousands of years before it turns into a diamond. Well, Spirit said, we're going to give you a compression time, which means we're going to put you under excruciating pressure for a certain amount of time, and you're going to come out the other side. It would have taken 30 years to get there. We're going to do it in 5. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
And then we started seeing this and everything that was unfolding and going, oh my God, while you're in it, you couldn't say no to anything. It was yes to everything because it was going to reroute the energy to get to where we needed to
Right.
be quicker.
For sure.
Because 30 years, we'd have been in our 80s. Come on. Ain't nobody got time
Still
for
sitting up
that.
there with a sign. I ain't going. I ain't going.
I ain't going. Oh
I
my
ain't going.
God, you look, Jeff Dunham, who's what's the other one?
Walter.
Walter. You look like Walter when
Ain't
you said that.
going. Ain't
No,
going. Ain't going.
ain't going. So there are certain processes that we're going to have to go through,
Yeah.
and um, our biggest thing is our mind gets in the way and goes, "Why are you going to do that? That ain't healthy, or that's not going to have a good outcome." If your brain thinks that, it means you've already done it.
Right.
And your brain's trying to steer you in a direction it's familiar with, and you're going to have to shut that brain down and go into your heart space, because the more you can say yes to things that look uncomfortable, the faster you get where you're going. We don't want to go into the uncomfortable. We want to lean away. And I say, lean into it, because you're going to get through it quicker. And then you'll realize, hey, why did I fear that to begin with?
You're right.
Why?
Right.
So it becomes
It's like when you get on a roller coaster, you're scared to death. And when you get done, you're like, man, why haven't I done that before?
that was fun. Whee!
Right. But before you get on it, you're like, right? The fuck? I'm scared to
Oh,
death.
and by the way, you won't catch me dead on a roller coaster.
Oh, I used to
No,
love
I don't
roller
do roller
coasters.
coasters. I
I
used
love
to
them. Yeah.
till I got on the Screaming Eagle in Pacific, Missouri, and it jerks,
Was
and
it a
you're
wooden
up
one?
high, and they had one of the carts go off of the track at one point, and I'm like, I ain't ever getting on that thing
I
again.
used to love them. I can't get on them now. I don't know. Jostle my liver loose. I don't know.
Right?
I can't. Um, uh, I'm just not allowed to ride them. I wish I could, but I love them. Um, but I think spirits really talking to me and saying that maybe we should run a class on listening to spirit and how to move and not hesitate, and how to hear spirit and what spirit's saying to you and why you're seeing these signs and things, and yeah. So me and
That also plays into your gifts as well,
yeah,
as you start to understand.
and developing your gifts.
Right, right. And
Um,
bringing them completely online. You've always had a hint of something, and you knew it was something, but you can't
right,
quite put your fingers on it. And as you listen to spirit, you'll notice that your abilities start to come online, and you're like, whoa. Then it's no longer, I feel this is what I am. Then you say, like you say, and I say, I know this is who I am.
right,
I
right.
know.
No. Um, I know who I am today, and I know that I know who Lee is today, and I know that the we, does that make sense? The we,
The
the
we knows
the
you're
one,
here. This is you. This is Lee. This is the
So
we. They're never apart. They're always
always,
together, working in tandem.
and I mean, I, eh, Sandra as well, um, has said that she wakes up and has coffee with Alan every morning. You know, Lee and I wake up every morning. We're in the same bed. Um, I know that there are people out there and programs out there that are guaranteeing to bring you and your twin flame into union. And that's not anything that's possible to do, right? That cannot be done. And if somebody's promising you that, um, I'm begging you not to get caught up in it.
Begging
However,
you to.
um, Sandra and I can help you guide you through this journey and show you what road to take versus what road you're about to take and and really help you navigate a little bit more and listening to spirit as well, right? What spirit's telling you, sometimes, not all the time, most of the time actually. We we don't want to follow spirit's instructions if it's uncomfortable for us or if it's moving us in another direction. Just what Sandra and I was just talking about, just the resistance and
Mhm.
really how to release that resistance. Um, I can listen to spirit this morning and be like, okay, I'll lay out this and I'll do that. And I got this. And then by the time the evening comes, spirit's telling me somehow where I should have went versus what I listened to spirit, but only half-assed it. You
You're
know what I
right.
mean? But right, just only done what I wanted to do, the part that I wanted to do.
The part that was comfortable.
Yeah, the comfortable part.
Yeah.
And instead of piling up the laundry, right?
Mhm.
Do it load at a time. One load, right? And then another load, and then another load. And then guess what? When you wear it, if you put it in a basket a couple days later, you can wash it again. And if you stay like consistent with it, your laundry don't get backed up, right?
Right.
If we stay consistent with this energy, with the connection, right? The junk don't get piled up.
You
If
got to
we
let it out.
Yeah, if we stay in re if we stay in the hell's the word? It's not even coming to me. Resistant mode. If we stay in resistant mode, right? We are literally, you've heard it a million times, running on that hamster wheel and you just can't get off. You're just going to keep going and 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 keep going. And I don't want you there. Sandra don't want you there. Lee don't want you there. Alan don't want you there. And we have disassembled our hamster wheels and we can show you the tools that you need to disassemble yours.
You want to get to the point where um not only are you showing spirit you're listening, but then in the beginning it was sudden and abrupt, you're leaving. Okay. Argument resistance was there. And now it's gotten to the point where we say yes so frequently that when we call them walking papers, when we're getting ready to leave one location and go to another, we'll get advanced emotional surges that tell us, okay, you're getting ready to leave. This is what you need to do to prepare. Okay. In the beginning, if they would have given me that message, I'd have said, prepare for what? Now it's an understanding. You're going somewhere and you don't know where you're going, but we know you're going to say yes. So we're giving you a little prep time. Whereas before we just had to go, it's happening. And if you don't allow it, then we're going to bring forces in and it's going to make you do it. I don't, nothing in me says I want to be made to do anything.
Right.
I want to say, I trust in the knowing and I'm in the flow and wow, what an adventure this is going to be.
Mhm. Yep.
So I think if you need to get to the point to where you're listening without resistance and you want to figure out what your gifts are, you probably already know them. You just don't, you're not here to know them. You're here and your mind's going, what? You can't talk about that. People think you're crazy. No, no, no. It's a gift, and
Right.
we all have them. Every person on this planet has gifts. The sooner we tap into them and realize just how amazing and unique we are, oh my God, it's the most amazing, freeing feeling to know just how capable and amazing you are.
Spirit's telling you as well how to get into union. And again, you're not listening.
Mm. An old pattern. It's an old pattern. Nah, that can't happen. He's doing this or she's doing that, that's a judgment sitting right there. So we really have to understand this is us on a higher plane. We're never apart, but we're here to experience duality. So you're going to experience duality through two different bodies. Therefore, one lifetime is like covering two. Mind blowing.
Mind blowing. It really is. It's freaking it, being in union is free. It's freedom, and it's freedom from all things, and it's safety. It's a ball of safety. It's
And women are synonymous where they need to feel safe.
yeah,
That's yeah. And
yeah,
so if they don't feel safe because they're used to a pattern or routine from their significant other and they constantly are thinking about it, well, that cycle will continue.
right.
It the circuit has not been
Not
completed.
bad,
It's
right.
incomplete. So you're circling. Let us show you how to complete the circuit.
We're in union. We know how to do it.
Yeah, well, it was kicking and screaming we done it though.
We kicked and screamed a lot, but you don't have to kick and scream. That's why we kicked and screamed for you.
So
We
we
went
done it
through this.
organically. You don't have
Right.
to.
You don't have to. We did it for you.
Yeah. And
Okay,
that's keys and codes, baby.
it is. It is. We're gonna wrap this up. And so yeah, if you are interested in these courses, Sandra and I will discuss it and we'll put out a little thing, little flyer on our webpage and figure out when, where, and why. And you can, I'm gonna do this all by myself. You can find Sandra at twinflamedivinefire@gmail.com and at twinflamedivinefire.com. Check out their clearing mist. I promise it's amazing. I've got bottles on every floor of my house and I freaking love it. Um, I am Sherry, and you can find me at relationship reinvent at gmail.com. Relationship reinvent at gmail.com. We'll see you soon. Me and Sandra will be back. We'll probably pop in on a live sometime soon. We'll see what we're doing. Who knows? We love you, and thanks for watching.
Yeah. Bye.